now.
Hey, it's Phil Ratcliffe with Rebel Financial, and thanks again for joining us for another live stream. Last week we came to you from an actual osteopathic symposium where we were an exhibitor. Now we're actually at MorningStar's annual investment conference where we're attendees, learning a lot about how we can make our business and our practice better so that we can serve our clients better. So what I wanted to do is just kind of give you the highlights of what we've learned. And just real fast, I'm going to let Tony just do a pan around. You're not really going to totally be able to see it all, but this is a huge investment conference, one of the biggest in the world. And there are tons of vendors here, whether it be from technology or from investments or from different business applications of how to run an advisory or investment firm better. There's a lot of stuff here. Right now, we're actually missing a pretty good main session going on in there to bring this to you. But we're going to bring it to you every 10:30 so that you have it. So this is really good for us. We invest in stuff like this so that we can really kind of be at the top of our game. And some things we go to are focused on financial planning, like our NAPA meetings, or that's National Association of Personal Financial Advisors, our FPA conferences, which are Financial Planning Association. But this is more investment oriented, and most of them we go to, there's some practice management things. So I'm going to kind of go over, I'm going to kind of give maybe a little bit more of the technical stuff first, and then some more of the generalization, because whenever you go to a big conference like this that attracts a lot of good people, you can obviously afford to get some really good speakers. So, you know, we had Michael Kitsis, we had Michael Lewis, we had Jimmy Wales, and Jack Bogle. So obviously some big names, and I'm going to go over a couple of those. So first I'm going to start out with, there are so many sessions we went to, so even though this is kind of long, this is really a synopsis to me are like the best things that, had you been here, especially if you're a practitioner like me, is awesome. But for the rest of you that are just following us as a financial firm, I think it's important to know that we're getting these things to help you do better. So Michael Kitsis really talked about the evolution of financial planning and why clients or investors need financial advisors and how that's changing. And, you know, in the past, you know, we have all these complicated terms like alpha and beta and gamma, but beta used to be like the main thing that people used to go and find somebody to help them find a mutual fund just to get exposure to the broad market and spread their risk out. You don't really need us for that anymore. And alpha, I mean, we could still provide that by making balanced portfolios and what so, but a lot of the automated solution, like you may have heard of, robo-advisors are starting to provide that a lot. And so that's really not our value add. We will probably still do that, but the technology will help us do that. And so really the main thing is our gamma, is like, what do we add by helping our clients make better decisions like a coach? How do we help them align what their financial goals and opportunities are that they might be missing out on, and then make sure that it actually happens almost like a trainer? And as we get better technology, it's for those of us that embrace it and help our clients use it efficiently, it's going to be really awesome for you as our clients, or if you've never had a financial advisor, you know, to be able to sit there with us on a big screen on the table and touch, you know, what you want to have happen, or show me this scenario versus that scenario. The example that Michael gave is like an engineering client that asked for lots of different versions of a plan because they're really trying to air test it. And even though engineers are trained to do that, and they do that, most other people don't. But it's not because they don't want to see it, they just don't know how to ask for it. And progressive planners like us are going to provide that to you, and it's not very far away. I mean, heck, we're already doing 3/4 of that through our eMoney with Decision Center. So if you're one of our clients that's actually done a plan, you've experienced that. Me and Tony were just talking about when we finished that meeting, you know, maybe we shouldn't even make PDF documents like a plan document anymore. It should all just be dynamic, and anytime we need to update or change the plan, we either have a short meeting or do a web conference, like video conference, and show it to you in real time anytime you want to see it. So plus we've also added our Money Guide Pro, so we try to build the plan over to Money Guide Pro so that after we're done with it, you're able to play with it by yourself. So we think that's a huge thing. This is where planning is going. The future of financial planning is bright. And if you don't have a financial advisor, I encourage you to find one that is embracing things like this. You know, the next thing I was going to talk about, again, I said I was going to kind of hit the tech stuff. Like, one of the things, we love technology. And maybe I'm a little bit of a nerd, but technology helps us serve our clients better for a better price, and it lets us do more than we otherwise could have done to a higher quality, because there are certain things that we do well, like the interpersonal relationships and putting together some of the things that require intuitive, leaps of judgment. But there are other things that computers and, software do way better than us and make less mistakes, etc. So, the three that we kind of found that we're excited about, a longtime partner of ours, actually, MorningStar, they do a lot of our software, which keeps all the transactional data for our clients in terms of getting those good statements that you get from us that show you since inception money-weighted returns, and it shows you exactly how much you made, and even if we're using multiple different companies, it breaks it down so that you can see things on an apples-to-apples basis, which you get from almost no other financial company. But they have some other things. They're making a big upgrade to that office, which one of the downsides where the reports that we create sometimes can take a very long time, so we just don't do a ton of different ones. That's supposed to be enormously upgraded. So you might actually see us do some different investment reports for you, just in terms of testing to see if you like the different formats and graphical illustrations of how your accounts are doing and how they're invested or what. So we think that's going to be really awesome. We also got an introduction to another big product that they've upgraded that is more for like doing the investment research or whatso, but it's called MorningStar Direct. And so we're also talking to them about possibly using that because we have so many models, because we want to give you choice to invest how you want to. We don't want to have minimums, but once you hit an economy of scale, we want you to be getting the best deals. We want people to be able to invest environmentally and socially conscious, and to be able to invest per your religious values even. And so we have all these different models, and we want to be able to do that research more efficiently, better, more often, so those portfolios are awesome. E-money, so that's the planning software we were talking about earlier. They're upgrading their media thing so that we have actually more videos available to explain different concepts or whatso, which I think is going to be really exciting, and then actually even more interactive tools that we're going to be able to put on our website. And they've been promised me for a while to upgrade some of the stuff for you guys, where you like look in the reports and whatso inside of there, to where we can get that changed to present value rather than future value. Because whenever we do the decision center showing you your plan, we're mainly talking about today's dollars because it makes sense. So hopefully that's going to be a good upgrade coming soon. And then we met another new company called Agreement Express. So actually a Canadian company, but they really have an awesome interface in terms of helping us streamline our back office to be able to open new accounts or change things on accounts. And right now we have 7 custodians, which is more than just about any other RIA, and we're getting ready to add like 2 or 3 more. So we really want to streamline the backside of what we're doing so that you can have your money with lots of different companies. It's easier for us than it is for most RIAs to have one custodian, and then we get to leverage the power of us working for you and saying, well, if this custodian's not going to do this, then we'll just open more accounts with this company. So again, we work for you. We don't work for them. We try not to even take their soft money or anything like that. This company would help us be able to scale that better. So we're excited about talking to them as well. Investment themes, I think our main investment theme has been ESG. We're really pushing ESG, and if you haven't heard that before, it's environmental, socially conscious, and good governance. And so I've personally changed all my portfolios to that. By the end of the year, I'd like to see our entire practice be over 40 or 50% ESG oriented. And the exciting thing about this is the performance is actually looking higher. It's actually looking like companies that do the right thing are actually performing better. And that aligns with most people's values. And so, next time you meet us or you come in to meet us, this is going to be a big thing that we're talking about. And we can actually get it for you for about the same price, in a couple instances even lower. So this is a really big change. We're excited about this, but we met some new partners. In the past, we've primarily been using DFA and Calvert, etc., and we love them. No hands about that, but having more choices is good. So, we met up with Saturna and Pax and a new company called Sustainalytics, which is doing some of the ESG reporting for actually Morningstar going out. So, there's exciting stuff going on in this area that's going to help us be able to do this better for you. So the last 2 things that I'm going to hit is just like a couple of the good speakers One was Michael Lewis. So Michael Lewis, you may have known, wrote Liar's Poker, Moneyball. He wrote The Big Short. More recently, he wrote The Undoing Project, which is a great book. And then, of course, he was on that 60 Minutes talking about the markets are rigged and what. So we are still all about that. We hope IEX does really well. But I'll give you kind of the things that I took away from there. And it wasn't necessarily pointed at our industry per se, but he is just such a great storyteller. And the stories that he has been involved in have given him some good insight. So, I think one of the ones that does apply to our industry, and personally, half the reason why we set up Rebel the way that we did, is he said, we should constantly be asking ourselves, how are my incentives screwed up? And to think about how you get paid, or how you're setting your life up to how you're rewarding or what so, should be to incentivize a good outcome and good behavior. And even though most of us would probably see ourselves as good people, if we're not setting ourselves up for success for how we get what we get, how we are getting those incentives, then there's temptation, and maybe things will not turn out as well. Or if you're a bigger company, like we see it in the financial company, you just don't know, like with Wells Fargo, how those things are going to settle out when you make a policy or what so. So I thought that was really important. And then one of the things we do a lot, and we're moving more and more towards, and the technology helps us a lot from this, is, he said we really need to move away from intuitive decision making more to evidence-based decision making. And maybe in some industries, intuitive decision making is good, and it will always have its place, but there are a lot of behavioral mistakes and heuristics that human beings have that helped us evolutionarily, but not necessarily in finance or investing or other types of business. So I think that's really important, and just the idea that you understand that you have these biases and flaws, and if you do, then that helps you make better decisions. And then the last one I think is really important. Obviously, we've done a really good job of cutting costs since we started, and then even since then, we've lowered costs 4 times to our clients. And we also, on top of that, give 20% to charity. And what he talked about is the idea that people have that when they're successful, they don't have a debt to society. That they're lucky, that they grew up in a great country with good parents, and they got to go to a good school. And there are people that work just as hard as them that were unlucky. And those of us that are lucky and that succeed have a debt to the people that are unlucky. And if we just think that we're just awesome and everybody else is lazy, this and that, it's wrong. And it's not going to be a society we want for our kids and what so. And I think that is a wonderful message that people do lose sight of a lot. So I think the last thing I'll touch on was Jimmy Wales, the founder of Wikipedia. Awesome man, really kind of went over what Wikipedia was, the people that contribute to it, where it's going in the future. But really the thing I want to mention here is he just launched a new thing called Wiki Tribune. And basically what it is you can sponsor, for whatever amount you want, say $10 or $15 a month. And then as a sponsor, you're helping to raise the salary to hire journalists that are paid for by people that want real news that's unbiased, that's not just owned by some rich person that owns some network or has an agenda. And the bigger that it gets, obviously it's going to start national, but then they'll even be able to hire local journalists and what so. And everything has to be fact-based and researched and footnoted, and then the community actually gets to be involved to edit. There is no editor that gets to control things. I think it's a wonderful idea. So if you're unhappy with a lot of the alternative news and facts and what so that have been going around, I contributed personally. Be a contributor, be a part of the solution, and I think this is a wonderful way to be involved. So these are just a few of the things that we learned here. We don't go here to just party and do this or rub it up with vendors or what. So we don't even take soft money. We went out to dinner last night and we paid our own thing. you know, even though we went with someone that's a business partner of us, because we want our clients to know we always work for you. We come here to make our business better, to be better financial advisors. And this is an update to be transparent so that you can see what we're doing and working on. You know, maybe it takes us a few months to really roll this out, but you heard it first from where I'm writing my notes of the most important things of the conference to say we're going to implement these things. And on the flip side of things, if you're in a different profession and you go to conferences, you know, I mean, I didn't make this up. I learned it from other people in terms of like how to use conferences and people and knowledge and what so to make things better. So maybe it will help you in that respect as well. So again, thanks so much for joining us. Hope you guys have a happy Friday, a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.